Life is tough. It's tougher when you're stupid. And that is today's Morning Moxie. Welcome to the Morning Moxie Show. I am your host, Alicia Sharp, and today we have John Maxwell for part one of a three-part series about stupid hurts. How many of you have ever done anything stupid? And when you do it, you realize that it could change your life. And John talks about something that he did that was just really dumb. He forgot about something and he left a gun in his briefcase going through an airport, ended up getting arrested, and it was a crazy mess. And his whole ministry career flashed before his eyes, his life, because, that kind of thing, it could ruin your whole reputation when you build this great reputation like someone like John Maxwell has, and then you do something stupid. It can ruin your reputation, and the devil can use it to try to get under your skin, to ruin things, but God can still move, and he can teach you something through it, and that's exactly what he did with John. Here's John.
I learned a long time ago that if you want to impress somebody, talk about your success, but if you want to impact people, talk about your failure. In fact, one of the most impacting books I've ever written was a book I wrote several years ago that still is a bestseller, Failing Forward, which basically teaches people how to fail correctly. This lesson is going to teach, when you and I do something dumb, how to learn from those lessons. For 14 months ago, I, unknowingly forgetting, had a gun in my briefcase, and I went through security in a major airport. See, you were kind of thinking I was dumb. Now you're starting to say, oh my, he really is dumb. You haven't even seen the half of it yet. Literally, after this happened and it got out in the press, I was in the 6 o'clock news, I was on the headlines, and when it got out, immediately the next morning, my social media team, which Stephanie and Charlie Wetzel in this church are the social media team, we immediately Twittered after this incident, and if we'll get to the screen, we'll do the Twitter. Definition of stupid: receive gun as a gift, forget it in carry-on, and go to the airport. Security not happy. Hey, that is a mild not happy. Lessons learned, number one, be responsible. Okay, let's go. Let's write them down. Number one, be responsible. First lesson to learn when you do something stupid, be responsible. What we did is, because this immediately got out, and I knew it would. In fact, the scanner in the airport, literally when my briefcase went under the scanner, I remembered I had the gun. In fact, I went to the guy at the scanner, I said, there's a gun in there, there's a gun in there. Yeah, hey, timing is everything. And I said, and he's looking right at the screen, and he says, yeah, he said, I see it. And then he looked at me and he said, Mr. Maxwell, I'm so sorry. And I thought, oh no, I'm sorry, he knows who I am. He said, I'm so sorry, I'm going to report this, which he reported it. Of course, then it came in immediately. Security came in. They took all the people out of my line, put them in another line. It happened to be my home airport in West Palm Beach, Florida, which means 2/3 of the people in the line knew who I was. When I went down, the sheriff people, they knew who I was. When I got my mug shot, he knew who I was. And so by the time I got out to my attorney, he said, let's not let anybody, let's keep this under. Let's not let the press get this. I said, trust me, it's out. And within a few hours, 50, 60 reporters at my home and headed the 6 o'clock news and the whole deal and the whole process. So immediately we wanted to get our story out as it happened. So we put this blog out, and I want you to read it with me, and let's go to that. Okay. The reason I started blogging was to teach leadership and try to add value to you, my readers, but in today's post, I need to tell you something of a more personal nature. I've done a lot of stupid things in my life. Early in my marriage, I would win arguments with my wife, Margaret, hurt her feelings really badly. I've made business moves that lost tens of thousands of dollars at a time. I've made leadership decisions that led to failures for my organizations, but up until now, none of the dumb things I've done has gotten me arrested. Hey, watch your attitude out there. I can just feel this coming, okay? Here's how this came about. Last Sunday, I was in Birmingham, Alabama, speaking for the Church of the Highlands. It's a wonderful church, marvelous leader named Chris Hodges, good friend, congregation's fantastic, had a terrific time. Most of the time when I have speaking engagements, I fly commercially, especially when the commitments are far from home, but when the engagement is not very far and it means that I will be able to sleep at my own home in my own bed, I'll sometimes fly on a private plane. This was the case on Sunday. As I got on the plane, someone from Chris's congregation gave me a gift, a handgun. This is for Margaret, he said, so she can feel safe while you're traveling. Now, I'm not really a gun person. I don't think there's anything wrong with people who own guns. I have been hunting a few times with friends, so I've shot a gun before, but I've never bought one. It's just not my cup of tea. But I know this was being given as a gift from the heart, so I accepted it, put it on my carry-on, and got on the private plane and flew home. And then I forgot about it. For the next several days, I was focused on preparations for an upcoming speaking engagement in Dallas. There was a moment when I thought to myself, well, I better remember to get the gun out of my bag. But because I was in the middle of writing, I didn't want to stop. And by the time yesterday rolled around, it had completely left my mind. If you're my age, you may remember a cartoon character called Mr. Magoo. Be nice, be nice. He was a man who seemed to wander from danger to danger without ever getting hurt. My friends used to call me Mr. Magoo. For those of you a little younger, they also have called me Forrest Gump. Well, off I went to the airport in full Mr. Magoo mode. In security, I put my carry-on bag on the conveyor belt and didn't think anything of it. Truly, it was one of the stupidest things I've ever done. You can probably guess the rest. I was arrested, handcuffed, and taken to jail where I was fingerprinted and photographed. Needless to say, it opened my eyes to a world I'd seen only in the movies. I was glad when I posted bail and was able to leave. I said this post would be of personal nature, but there's still a leadership lesson to be learned from it. First, take responsibility for your own actions. What I did was wrong. It was my fault. I certainly didn't intend to break the law, but I will face up to the consequences. The second lesson, to use the words of my friend Kevin Myers, is this: stupid hurts. If you're not paying attention and you do something stupid, it's going to hurt you. In the end, I just hope my mistake isn't going to hurt anybody but me. That's what I blogged, and literally, over the next 24 thousands of people got the blog and realized what had happened in my life. Now, lesson number one is just a very simple lesson. I don't need to dwell on it long. I think you have it. Be responsible. You see, there are two responses that we have when we make a mistake or we do something dumb. And either one of these responses will have a direct consequence to it. We either leave our failure. In other words, we do something dumb and we say, I got to get out of here as fast as I can, and I'm going to leave the scene of the accident. I'm going to deny it. I'm going to, I wasn't there. It couldn't be me. I'm going to excuse it. We either leave our failure or we learn from our failure. And the question is always, when we fail, is not how did we fail or why did we fail? Well, we failed. Okay, we've got that covered. The question is, what am I learning from the failure? You see, if I learn from a failure, I won't have to leave it. I'll learn from it, and therefore I'll learn what not to do again, and I'll begin to make myself, hopefully, a better person. But if I leave my failure and I say, I don't want to even think about it, I want to just kind of act as if it never happened, what will happen is I'll repeat it. I'll continue to repeat it. And when people allow failure to hurt them, it's not that they failed once, it's the fact that they didn't learn from their failure. And the first thing to learn about failure from your life and my life is very, very simple. Be responsible. Lesson number two, be humble. When we fail, at least in this case in my life, there was a great sense of humility. I love what John Wayne said one time. John Wayne said, life is tough. It's tougher when you're stupid. How many of you agree with it? How many of you raise your hand and say, you know what, life's tough, John. Come on, let's see those hands, okay? Now, if you don't have your hand raised up right now, you're on drugs, okay? Of course, life's tough. Life's tough. Life's tough if you're Hamilton Mill, life is tough. If you're Flowery Branch, life is tough. If you're here, life's tough. Life is tough. It's tough if everything is going pretty decent. But when we do dumb things, it gets tougher. There is a statement that I'm going to read to you that I wish that you had time to really mentally allow it to marinate in your mind. Because I think this is so true of me, and I think it's probably true of most of you. Let me read this to you. The life of every man is a diary in which he means to write one story and writes another. And his humblest hour is when he compares the volume as it is with the way that he had hoped it would be. Those are powerful words. I identify with those so much. There's this diary of my life that I want to write, the ideal of what I want John Maxwell to be. But while I'm wanting to write this diary and while I'm trying to pen it, there's the reality of life over here, as it is. Not as I want it to be, not as I thought it would be, but as it is. And usually in those two diaries, the one we want to write and the one we are writing, usually they're far apart. And what are we going to do with the fact that the real and the ideal very seldom come together? Well, what's going to happen normally in your life or in my life is as we have those honest moments with ourselves, it's very humbling. It's very humbling because we begin to understand that we don't have our act together and we don't have all the answers and we just don't have life in the palm of our hand and control like we would like it to be or like we thought it would be.
That was John Maxwell, and you can find that clip on YouTube if you search under John Maxwell, Stupid Hurts. It's a great message, and you will hear the rest of it this week as you continue to listen to Morning Moxie. Hope you've had a wonderful new year, and I will see you again tomorrow for another episode of Morning Moxie. God bless.